A. Using this book.
It's a good idea to have a routine when you use this book. For example, a weekly routine when you study a new unit for at least 30 to 45 minutes. A daily routine when you revise that unit. You may only need to revise for 5 or 10 minutes each time.
B. Studying a new unit.
When you are studying a unit for the first time, you need to be active when you are learning. With a new word or phrase, say it aloud and repeat it to yourself silently. If you have the e-book that goes with the book, use it to check the pronunciation. Use a highlighter pen to mark words you think are important or difficult. Write down new words and phrases in your notebook. Always try to write an example sentence for new words. You can choose an example from this book or a dictionary, but an example from your own life will often help you to remember a word. For example, I shared a flat with an Australian girl when I was in London last year. Do exercises in pencil, then you can rub them out using a rubber and do them again later. This is a good way to revise vocabulary.
C. Revising a unit.
When you are revising a unit 1 or 2 days later, it is also important to be as active as possible. Test yourself. For example, look at a word and cover the meaning. Can you remember what the meaning is? If you can't, check the meaning. Then come back to the word in 5 minutes' time and test yourself again. Look at what you wrote in your notebook when you first studied the unit. Is there any new information you want to add? For example, something about the pronunciation or a common word partner. Diagrams may help you to organize some of the vocabulary differently and help you to remember it. For example, take. Who took my pen? Let's take a break now. I took notes during the lecture. What size shoes do you take?
D. Expanding your vocabulary.
When you learn a word, for example, dirty, think of synonyms or opposites in your language. Look them up in a bilingual dictionary to find the English words. Then look up the English words in an English dictionary to check the meaning. From this, you will find that the opposite of dirty is clean, and you may also find filthy.
A. What do you do?
This is what some students do.
I write down new English words and phrases in my notebook, and next to each one I write a Spanish translation. I usually write down if a word is a noun, verb, adjective, and so on.
I sometimes write a word in phonemics because English pronunciation is very difficult for me. But my notebook is a mess. I like to draw pictures.
I sometimes make a note of new words in my notebook, but I often forget. I usually write a translation, and sometimes I write example sentences as well.
I've got a notebook. I don't use it much, but when I do, I try and list words by topic. So I put all the animals together and all the clothed words together, and so on. I find it's easier to remember the words this way.
I note down new words and phrases. Sometimes I translate them into Polish, and sometimes I write an explanation in English if it is not difficult. For example, kitten, a very young cat.
B. Tips for your notebook.
A tip is a piece of advice to help you. Here are some tips for your notebook. Put words from one topic in the same place. For example, food in one place, clothes in another, etc. Don't mix them up. You can also have grammar topics. For example, uncountable nouns, or a page for words that all have a connection. For example, words and phrases that were all in a story you read in English. Some words and phrases will go in more than one topic. If you can't find a topic for a new word or phrase, for example, useful or in particular, put them in a different place in your notebook. For example, a page for each day or each week, or perhaps one page for every English lesson you have. Write the date clearly at the top. For example, Monday the 14th of May. When you write down new vocabulary, write a translation if it is necessary, but also write the meaning in English if it is possible, or draw pictures. If possible, add synonyms, opposites, other parts of speech, etc. Awful. Adjective. Means terrible. Synonym. Dreadful. Enjoy. Verb. Means like something and get pleasure from it. Noun. Enjoyment. Adjective. Enjoyable. Example sentences help you with the grammar of a word, or with word partners, collocations. I enjoy living in a big city. Not, I enjoy to live in a big city. I spent 2 weeks in Rome. Not, I passed 2 weeks in Rome. You spend time in a place. Remember, words often have more than one meaning that you need to know. For example, a tip is also money that you give. For example, to a waiter for serving you in a restaurant.
A. What dictionaries do I need?
A bilingual dictionary is easy for you to understand and quick and easy to use. A dictionary in English will give you reading practice in English and many more examples of how words are used. If possible, use both. These are good dictionaries in English for your level, and most of them are available online. Cambridge Learner's Dictionary, Oxford Word Power Dictionary, Longman Active Study Dictionary, Macmillan Essential Dictionary.
B. Information in dictionaries.
If you look up a word using the Cambridge Learner's Dictionary, the information is shown like this. For example, the word fun. Pronunciation using phonemic symbols. A definition explains the meaning. Bold italics show common word partners. Part of speech. The letter U tells you that fun is uncountable. Fixed phrases using the word are shown in bold. Examples are in italics.
C. Defining words.
Defining words are words that dictionaries use when they define the words in the dictionary. Some of these are quite common. Emphasize. For example, my teacher has always emphasized the importance of writing down new words in a notebook. Relating to or connected to or with. For example, musical is connected with or related to music. Amount. For example, £5 million is a large amount of money. Official. For example, a passport is an official document. Behave. For example, people can behave strangely when they're nervous.
D. Using a dictionary.
When you use a dictionary to check the meaning of a word, put a tick next to it. Each time you return to a page with a tick, see if you remember the word. When you meet a new word or phrase in a text, first try to guess the meaning. Then use a dictionary to see if your guess was correct. Don't just read the dictionary definition. Example phrases and sentences show you how a word or phrase is used, and they help you to understand the meaning more clearly. If you look up a word in a bilingual dictionary and get 2 or 3 different translations, check these words in an English dictionary to see which translation is the best one for the situation. Remember that many words have more than one meaning. The first meaning in the dictionary is not always the one you want. You may need to read through the different meanings.
A. Parts of speech.
I have a brown leather chair by the window, and I often sit there in the morning to listen to music.
In the sentence above, I is a pronoun. Chair, window, morning, and music are all nouns. Have, sit, and listen are verbs. Brown and leather are adjectives. Often is an adverb. By is a preposition. The is a definite article. A is an indefinite article. And is a conjunction or link word. Here are 2 more examples.
We saw an elephant at the zoo yesterday.
Elephant and zoo are nouns. Saw is a verb. At is a preposition. An is an indefinite article. The is a definite article.
It was a cold night, so I walked quickly.
Was and walked are verbs. Cold is an adjective. Night is a noun. Quickly is an adverb. So is a link word.
B. Grammar.
When you are learning vocabulary, you need to know certain things about different words. For example, if nouns are countable. For example, books, apples, chairs. Or uncountable. For example, information, not informations. Advice, not advices. With verbs, you need to know if they are regular. For example, work, live, etc. Or irregular. For example, go, went. Take, took. You will also need to learn the grammar of phrasal verbs. For example, take something off, wake up. You also need to learn certain groups of words as phrases. For example, at the moment, never mind, see you later.
C. Word building.
In the word uncomfortable, UN is a prefix and ABLE is a suffix. Other common prefixes include IN and DIS. For example, incorrect and dislike. Common suffixes include MENT and IVE. For example, improvement and attractive.
D. Pronunciation.
Dictionaries show the pronunciation of a word using phonemic symbols. For example, book, before, cinema. Every word has 1 or more syllables. For example, book has 1 syllable. Before has 2 syllables. Cinema has 3 syllables. It is important to know which syllable to stress. For example, on before, it is the 2nd syllable, before. On cinema, it is the 1st syllable, cinema. The vertical mark shows where the stressed syllable begins.
E. Punctuation.
Every sentence must begin with a capital letter and end with a full stop. Some sentences have a comma, which often shows a pause in a long sentence. Did you also know that a question must end with a question mark?
A. Who speaks what where?
Country: Australia. Nationality: Australian. Language: English. Brazil: Brazilian. Portuguese. China: Chinese. Mandarin and Cantonese. Egypt: Egyptian. Arabic. France: French. French. Germany: German. German. Greece: Greek. Greek. Israel: Israeli. Hebrew. Italy: Italian. Italian. Japan: Japanese. Japanese. South Korea: Korean. Korean. Poland: Polish. Polish. Russia: Russian. Russian. Saudi Arabia: Saudi Arabian. Arabic. Spain: Spanish. Spanish. Switzerland: Swiss. Swiss German, French, Italian. Thailand: Thai. Thai. Turkey: Turkish. Turkish. The UK: United Kingdom. British. English. The USA: United States of America. American. English. The UK is England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
I come from Argentina, so I'm Argentinian, and my first language is Spanish. The capital is Buenos Aires, which has a population of more than 10 million people.
B. Parts of the world.
The continents in the world are Europe, Africa, Asia, North America, South America, Australia, Australia and New Zealand, and Antarctica. We also use these terms for different parts of the world. The Middle East, for example, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. The Far East, for example, Thailand, Japan. The Caribbean, for example, Jamaica, Barbados, Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland.
C. The people.
When we are talking about people from a particular country, we add S to nationalities ending in I or IAN. But we need the definite article, the, for most others. Brazilians, Russians, Thais, Israelis are the British, the French, the Swiss, the Japanese are. With both groups, we can also use the word people. For example, Brazilian people, British people, etc.
A. Facts.
Did you know 2/3 of the surface of the Earth is covered in water. El Azizia in Libya is the hottest place in the world, where temperatures of over 57 degrees Celsius have been recorded. The coldest place on Earth is probably Vostok in Antarctica, which reached a temperature of -89 degrees Celsius. The Kubera Voronya cave near the Black Sea coast in Georgia is the deepest cave in the world. It is over 2,000 meters deep. The Beijing-Hangshu Grand Canal is the longest canal in the world. It is 1,794 kilometers long. The highest waterfall in the world is Angel Falls in Venezuela. It is 979 meters high. The Amazon rainforest is the largest rainforest in the world, covering 40% of the South American continent. The Pacific is the largest ocean in the world and is nearly twice the size of the Atlantic Ocean.
B. Geography. Switzerland consists of 3 main geographical regions: the Swiss Plateau, the Jura, and the Alps. Switzerland is a land of contrasts, with completely different landscapes. The climate can also change within a very short distance. For example, Ascona in the south has an almost Mediterranean climate, but the Dufour Peak in Valais has a very cold climate. The distance between the two is just 70 kilometers.
North, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest.
A. Weather conditions. Notice that it is very common to form adjectives by adding y. Noun, fog. Adjective, foggy. Cloud, cloudy. The cold, cold. Ice, icy. Noun, sun. Adjective, sunny. Verb, the sun is shining. Wind, windy. The wind is blowing. Snow, snowy. It's snowing. Rain, wet. It's raining. There are common word partners to describe weather conditions. It was very cloudy this morning, but the sun came out after lunch. The accident happened in thick fog. We had some heavy rain at the weekend. There was a strong wind when we were on the boat. The wind has blown all the apples off the tree. It rained in the morning, but the sky was clear by lunchtime. It's been extremely cold today. B. Rain and storms.
For heavy rain, we often use the verb pour. For example, pour with rain. For short periods of light or heavy rain, we use the noun shower. A storm is heavy rain with strong winds. It poured with rain this afternoon. Look, it's really pouring with rain now. We had a couple of heavy showers this morning. We had a couple of light showers this morning. A period of hot weather sometimes ends with a thunderstorm. First, it becomes very humid, then you hear thunder and see lightning, and it's followed by heavy rain.
C. Temperature. How hot or cold it is.
40 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees below zero. Boiling, hot, warm, not very warm, also cool, cold, also chilly, freezing.
A. Pets and farm animals.
In the UK, many people keep pets. The most common are dogs and cats, but people also keep birds, for example parrots, that are usually in a cage. Children sometimes keep mice, singular mouse, and rabbits. Some people keep more unusual animals as pets, for example frogs, snakes, and spiders. Cage, parrot, rabbit, mouse, donkey, snake, frog, bull, spider, goat. Farms in the UK may have sheep, pigs, cows, horses, donkeys, chickens, goats, and a bull.
B. Wild animals. The pictures show a number of wild animals. If you were lucky, you may see these animals in the wild, but you will probably see them in a zoo. Some of these animals, for example tigers, are now quite rare. It is important that we protect these endangered animals. Monkey, camel, tiger, giraffe, leopard, lion, bear, elephant, trunk. C. Insects.
B. Ant, mosquito, fly, butterfly, wings.
D. Sea creatures.
Many different creatures live in the sea. Whale, dolphin, shark, octopus.
A. Parts of the body. The outer part of the body is covered in skin. Too much sun is bad for your skin.
Forehead, cheek, lips, neck, chest, elbow, waist, bottom, hip, knee, ankle.
Chin, shoulder, breast, wrist, thumb, heel, toe.
B. Movements with your mouth, face, and head.
People breathe through their nose or mouth. You breathe in and out about 12 to 15 times a minute. People smile when they're happy, and sometimes smile at people to be polite. People laugh at things which are funny. People sometimes cry if they're very unhappy or receive bad news. People in some countries nod their head to mean yes, and shake their head for no. People often yawn when they're tired, and sometimes when they're bored.
C. Common expressions.
Shake hands with someone. Fold your arms. Comb your hair. Wave to somebody. Blow your nose.
A. Describing beauty.
Your appearance is the way you look, and we sometimes use different words to talk about beauty in men and women. Women can be attractive or good-looking, and we often use pretty to describe a girl. We use beautiful or gorgeous for women who are very attractive. Men can be attractive and good-looking, but also handsome. If men are very attractive, we can say they are gorgeous or very good-looking, but not usually beautiful. Liam has become quite handsome. Bella looks gorgeous in that dress. Olivia was very pretty when she was younger. They're a very good-looking couple.
B. Size. We can talk about a person's height and their weight. For example, I'm roughly 1 meter 80 tall, and I weigh just under 80 kilograms. If someone is not tall or short, you can describe them as medium height. If a person is very similar to most other people in height and weight, you can say they are average.
How tall is Hannah?
Medium height, I'd say.
Is Marco quite big?
No, about average.
C. Hair.
Blonde, fair, brown, dark, black, straight, wavy, curly.
D. Talking about someone's appearance. What does Sophia's boyfriend look like?
He's blonde and quite good looking.
Is he tall?
Tallish, but he's got broad shoulders. He looks very athletic. I think he does a lot of sport.
Is he quite smart?
Yeah, he dresses quite well.
A. What are you like?
Describe your character. Choose the number that describes you. For example, in the first line, 1 means very positive. 3 means not very positive or negative. 5 means very negative. I think I'm very positive. I'm quite a negative person. I'm usually reliable. I'm quite unreliable. I'm quite confident. I'm quite shy. I'm hard-working. I'm quite lazy. I have a good sense of humour. I'm usually quite serious. I'm usually quite patient. I'm quite impatient.
B. Opposites.
Positive, generous. Negative, mean. Honest, dishonest. Clever, intelligent. Stupid. Calm, nervous, anxious.
C. Describing a friend.
The first thing I would say about my best friend is that she's very sensible. I've never known Amelia to do anything silly, and I know I can always trust her. She's also very creative. She makes things, and she's a very talented artist. I wish I had her talent.
A. How do you feel?
I'm very proud of my son's success, but I'm a bit disappointed that the local paper hasn't shown more interest in the story.
The politicians seem confused about what to do, so I'm not hopeful that things will improve.
We were curious to see what all the noise was about, but I felt anxious when I saw how angry the men were and really scared when they started coming towards us.
I think Harry ended the relationship because his girlfriend was getting jealous, but now he's quite upset.
B. The effect of the weather on our feelings.
Why do people say they feel more cheerful when the sun shines and miserable when it's raining? Why do some people suffer from SAD, seasonal affective disorder, which makes them feel depressed during long, dark winters? Can the weather really affect our mood, or is it just in our imaginations?
C. The effect of colour on our emotions.
Colour can have an effect on our mood, but how do specific colours relate to our emotions? Red can make us feel energetic, but it can also indicate anger. Pink, though, is softer and more about maternal love and caring for people. Green is associated with nature and is good for people suffering from stress. Blue is relaxing and helps us to be creative, but too much dark blue can make us depressed.
A. Relatives. Members of your family. Synonym, relations.
My father died when I was 9, and so my mother was a widow with 4 young children. She remarried 5 years later, so now I have a stepfather. As he is not my real father, I call him by his first name, which is Dieter. I've got an elder brother called Thomas and 2 younger sisters, Anja and Claudia, who are twins. We are a close family. My mother is an only child, but I've got 2 uncles on my father's side. One is married with 2 children, and the other is married with 3 children. So altogether, I have 5 cousins. I get on well with Uncle Rolf, and he always tells me I'm his favorite nephew. Of his nieces, I think he likes Anja best. Recently, my brother Thomas got married. His wife's name is Sabine, so I now have a sister-in-law as well.
B. Friends.
My best friend is Florian, an old school friend. We got to know each other when we were in the same class at school. We've been mates ever since, and our friendship is very important to both of us. He spends a lot of time with my family, and his current girlfriend is actually one of Thomas's ex-girlfriends, but we all get on really well.
A. Ages and stages in the UK.
Age, 0. Stage, birth. Up to 12 months, a baby. 12 months to 3 years old, a toddler. 3 to 12 years old, a child. This period is your childhood. 13 to 18 approximately, a teenager. During this period, you are in your teens. 18 plus, an adult. 40 plus approximately, people are middle-aged. 60 or 65, retirement. 80 plus, old age. We usually describe people as elderly.
B. Approximate ages.
I'm in my early 20s. My parents are in their mid-50s. My grandmother is in her late 70s. My grandfather is nearly or almost 80. My English teacher's approximately or roughly 30.
C. Past and present.
My grandmother's name was Mary. She's dead now. She died about 10 years ago when I was in my teens, but I remember her well. She was brought up on a farm in Wales, and her parents were very strict. As a teenager, they didn't allow her to listen to the radio or go to parties in the village. In the end, she decided to leave home and get a job in Cardiff. At first, it wasn't easy, but she managed to find work, and she also met the man who became her husband, my grandfather. My mother was born 4 years later. She had a very different childhood. She grew up in the city. She was allowed to go to parties, and when she was in her teens, her parents let her stay out late. My mum is the same with me.
A. Romance.
I had my first date when I was 16, and it was terrible. I took a girl to the cinema, but she didn't like the film and looked bored all evening. It was a bad start. Then, when I was 17, I went out with a girl for 3 months, but we broke up when she met a boy who was 2 years older than me and had a car. My first serious relationship was when I went to university. I got to know Melanie because we were on the same course. At first, we were just friends. Then we started going out with each other. And after a few months, we realised we were in love. We got engaged a couple of years after we left university, and then...
B.
Marriage. The time when you are married.
We got married the following year. We didn't want a big ceremony, so we had the wedding in the local church near Melanie's home, with just family and a few friends. Afterwards, we had the reception in a small hotel nearby, and then went on our honeymoon to Greece.
C. Children.
Just over 3 years later, Melanie got pregnant, and our first child, Cal, was born just 2 days after our 4th wedding anniversary. We had a big celebration.
D. Divorce. When a marriage officially ends.
Things started to go wrong when I got a job as manager of a sportswear company. I was working 6 days a week, and I had to do a lot of travelling. It was difficult for Melanie as well. She was working during the week, then at weekends she was often alone or on her own with 2 young children. I felt I couldn't give up my job, and in the end, Melanie decided to leave me. The following year, we got divorced.
A. Sleep.
During the week, I usually wake up about 7:30 a.m. If I don't, my mum wakes me up. I get up a few minutes later. In the evenings, I go to bed about 10:30 p.m. and usually go to sleep straight away. If I have a late night, I try to have a sleep in the afternoon when I get home from college.
B. Food.
I have coffee and cereal for breakfast, then have a light lunch, maybe a sandwich and an apple, and a snack in the afternoon. We have our main meal in the evening. If Mum's late home from work, she doesn't bother to cook. We just get a takeaway instead. One of us has to feed the cat as well.
C. Bathroom routines.
I usually have a shower when I get home from college because my sister, Rosie, and my brother, Marcus, spend so much time in the bathroom in the morning. I only have time to have a wash and clean my teeth before Rosie comes in to put on a bit of makeup. In the winter, I sometimes have a bath instead of a shower. I like to lie in the bath and listen to music.
D. Housework. The work of keeping a home clean and tidy.
Fortunately, we've got a cleaner who does a lot of the housework, and that includes doing my washing. But I still have to make my bed and do some of my ironing, and I sometimes do the shopping with Mum.
E. Spare time. Time when you are not working.
On weekdays, I usually stay in and watch TV in the evening. At the weekend, I go out quite a lot with my friends, either to the cinema or just to a cafe, and I eat out once a week. Sometimes friends come round and we chat about clothes, music and college.
A. Location. The place and position of something.
We live on the outskirts of town, and it's a very nice location. We used to live in the centre, but we moved to our present flat when we had children because there's more space for them to play, and it has nice views.
B. Our flat. This is where we live. We rent a flat on the second floor. There's a family in the flat downstairs and a young French couple upstairs on the top floor. It's a modern block of flats and it's quite good, although the lift is small and there's no air conditioning.
Top floor. Second floor. Balcony. Ground floor. Steps. Front door. First floor.
C. A house in the country.
My parents own a cottage. It's a charming house and has lots of character, but like many old buildings, it's quite dark, quite difficult to heat, and it doesn't have central heating.
A. Different homes. When we first got married, we lived in a one-bedroom flat with a small kitchen, a living room and a bathroom. When our first child was born, she had to share our bedroom. Now we live in a 4-bedroom house. Our bedroom has an ensuite bathroom. Our 2 teenage children have their own rooms. We have a spare room for guests and another bathroom. Downstairs, there's a living room, a dining room and a study. We've also got a lovely big kitchen with a fridge freezer, a cooker with 2 ovens and a dishwasher. Next to it, there's a small utility room where we keep the washing machine.
Microwave. Tap. Kettle. Tiles. Freezer. Cupboards. Sink. Oven. Cooker. Fridge.
B. Choices. When you decide between 2 or more possibilities.
What do you prefer? Some people like big, soft sofas with lots of cushions. Some people like firm armchairs. Do you like a wooden floor with a rug or a carpet? Curtains or blinds? A duvet or a sheet and a blanket? 1 pillow or 2?
A. Notes and coins.
In the UK, the currency is sterling. In America, it is the dollar. In much of Europe, it's the euro. Notes. For example, £10, 20 euros, a £10 note, a €20 note. Coins in the UK. For example, 50 pence, usually spoken as 50p, a pound, a 50 pence piece, but a £1 coin.
B. Managing your money.
I've had a bank account for a few years now, and I make sure my account is always in credit. I go to the cash point once a week, so I always have some cash with me, and I check my account online once a week to see how much money I've got.
C. Money problems.
When I went to university, I had to get a student loan to pay my fees. That meant I had to be careful and make sure I didn't waste money. But by the time I finished my degree, I owed a lot. One good thing is that I don't have to pay it back until I get a job and I'm earning a reasonable amount of money. At the moment, I'm saving up for a new laptop. The one I have is very slow and keeps going wrong. I'd love to have a car as well, but I can't afford it.
D. Accommodation. Places where you live or stay.
This year, I'm renting a flat with 3 friends of mine. We had to pay 1 month's rent as a deposit, but it's a nice place, quite good value for money, and the landlord isn't charging us to use his garage.
A. Common problems. I've got a sore throat and a temperature.
That sounds like flu. You should see a doctor.
I've cut my arm. It's bleeding.
Put a bandage round it.
I've got a terrible cough.
Go to the chemist and get some cough medicine.
I've got a headache.
Take some tablets or pills for the pain.
I feel sick.
Go to the bathroom, quickly.
B. Describing pain.
We can use different words to describe pain. An ache describes pain that is not always strong, but often continues. It is used with certain parts of the body. I've got a headache. Arya's got stomach ache. My dad suffers from backache. For other parts of the body, we often use pain. I've got a pain in my shoulder. I've got a pain in my foot. Ache can also be a verb to describe pain that continues for some time. By the end of the day, my feet were aching. For stronger or more sudden pain, we usually use the verb hurt. My throat hurts when I speak. I hit my leg on the table and it really hurts. I hit my leg on the table and it's very painful.
C. Serious illnesses.
For serious illnesses, you will probably go into hospital. A person who stays in hospital is called a patient. Many patients need an operation. Lung cancer can be caused by smoking. Heart attacks can happen very suddenly. Hepatitis is a disease affecting the liver.
A. Smart, stylish, and casual.
I think the woman looks stylish. The man is smartly dressed. The boy's clothes are more casual. Earring, top, necklace, bracelet, ring, skirt, tights, boots.
Tie, collar, sleeve, scarf, button, suit, pocket, cap, t-shirt, rucksack, jumper, sweater, zip, jacket, jeans, trainers.
B. Verbs and phrases used with clothes.
As soon as I get up, I have a shower and get dressed. I don't eat breakfast.
I have to wear a suit and tie to work, but I usually take off my tie before lunchtime.
I prefer jackets with a zip. It's easier to undo a zip, and it's also much quicker to do it up.
I think I look good in black because dark colours suit me.
When I get home from work, I usually change into a pair of jeans.
A. Fashion.
Fashion. Which are you?
I usually shop with a friend. I always try on clothes before I buy them. I sometimes buy clothes that don't suit me just because they're fashionable. If I buy trousers or a skirt, I buy a shirt or top to go with it at the same time. My wardrobe is full of clothes that I buy and hardly ever wear. I like to buy designer labels, even though they're more expensive. I like wearing fashionable clothes, but the price has to be reasonable. I never buy clothes just because they're in fashion. I like to dress in clothes that are casual but still look quite fashionable. I'm always happy with what I've got on.
B. In a clothes shop.
A shop assistant is serving different customers.
Can I help you?
No, I'm being served, thanks.
Do you need any help?
Yes, I've just tried on this jacket in a size 12, and it didn't really fit me. It's a bit tight. Have you got it in a bigger size?
We have got a size 14, but not in pink, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, I'll leave it. Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Can I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for a skirt, and this looks nice. Can I try it on?
Yes, of course. The changing rooms are down there.
A. In a supermarket.
Sweets. Basket. Shelves. Checkout. Trolley.
How do supermarkets make us spend more money? They put fresh bread, as it smells lovely, near the entrance to make us feel hungry, and hungry shoppers spend more. They also rearrange things and put them in different places. This makes us spend more time in the store, and that means spending more money. They put sweets and chocolate near the checkout, so it is easy to add bars of chocolate to our basket or trolley while we are waiting in the queue. And they put the most expensive items on the middle shelves, where you are more likely to see them. And be careful of special offers. For example, 3 for the price of 2. People often buy more than they need and throw away half of it.
B. Shopping centres and street markets.
Some people like modern shopping centres because everything is under one roof and it's convenient. There's a wide range of shops, and if there is anything wrong with something you buy, the shop will replace it or give you a refund. Other people prefer going to street markets because they like the atmosphere you get from the different stalls. Food and clothes are usually cheaper in street markets. Sometimes you can try to agree a lower price for something you buy in a street market. We call this haggling. Of course, if you don't like what you buy in a street market, you can't normally take it back and get a refund.
A. Fruit.
Pineapple. Peach. Strawberry. Bunch of grapes. Olives. Pear. Melon. Lemon. Coconut.
B. Vegetables.
Beans. Peas. Onion. Garlic. Carrot. Mushrooms. Aubergine. Courgette. Pepper. Cabbage. Broccoli. Spinach.
C. Salad.
A salad is usually a mixture of uncooked ingredients. In Britain, it mainly has lettuce, as well as tomato, cucumber, onion, and other things. We often put salad dressing, usually oil and vinegar, or perhaps oil and lemon, on salad.
D. Meat, fish, and seafood.
Animal. Cow. Meat, beef. Calf, veal. Lamb, lamb. Pig, pork. Chicken or hen, chicken. A person who does not eat meat is a vegetarian. Salmon, prawns, mussels, crab.
A. Ways of cooking food.
You boil potatoes or rice in a saucepan. You can fry sausages in a frying pan. You grill toast or meat under a grill. You roast meat in the oven. You also bake cakes in the oven. You barbecue meat and fish on a barbecue. Food which is not cooked is raw.
B. Preparing and cooking food.
Peel the potatoes and boil them. While they're boiling, chop an onion. Fry the onion before adding some chopped tomatoes. Then stir it all for a few minutes.
C. What does it taste like?
Chefs always taste the food while they are cooking. I don't like the taste of too much garlic. I tried the soup and it tasted a bit strange. Michelle's food is very tasty. Indian food is a bit too spicy for me. You get ice cream in different flavours. Lena said her pasta was horrible, but I thought it was delicious.
D. Are you a good cook?
I'm a bit nervous when I cook, so I always follow a recipe and make sure I have all the right ingredients before I start. However, I am quite good at making pies, especially apple pie.